lovelies, this is Blossom. So, I'm back in the same spot as the last video, so for me only like 2 minutes have passed just to get the dogs out. And today I have something a little bit different for you. So I told you already in last time in the video, or like 2 minutes ago, that I have this audio sample, if you like, for my book. So usually, as you have an audio book, you don't use music or anything like that. I'm very well aware of that. But I did because it's YouTube and it's fun to do, and I like that. And just music just gives it that little extra oomph. And so I thought, I'm gonna to tell you a little bit what it's about. Why don't I start with chapter 1? Because you can get that as a sample reading. I'm probably gonna post that soon on my homepage, but I'm not making that officially now. But a sample of chapter 1, maybe even chapter 2, who knows, on my homepage. But you will learn that when it's the right time to do that. And I thought, chapter 7 was very, very emotional for me. And there's a lot of stuff happening that means a lot to me. And it was very sad. I was in tears the whole time during chapter 7. The kind of research I did for it brought me to tears, and also my own personal shite. But it's cleverly hidden, it's not that obvious. But yeah, it's all in there, and that's the whole process. So chapter 7 is a very special chapter for me. There are all, but that was the first one that brought me to tears. Afterwards, the waterworks broke down, and I'm in tears since then. But let me just get this out to you, so you don't have to listen to me if you don't want to, and you just want to hear the chapter sample. So let's do that. Let's see what. Maybe as an introduction, there is 3 characters in this chapter. So this is Ella. Then we have Cregan, and we have Arun, and they are on the way to the hidden pool.
Ella was standing before a monumental yew tree. A green, eerie light surrounded the trunk, and a ramp led to the middle of the tree where an opening filled with water revealed itself. Cregan waited, leaning against the giant roots. Ella's heart weighed heavily. She was amazed by the magnificence of this sight, yet terrified about what would happen. She stopped when she saw how Cregan approached them, until Aaron laid his hand on her back and gave her a little push. "Everything all right? No incidents on the way?" Cregan asked. "All is well, Cregan. Nobody saw us. Let's move this thing along," Aaron answered in Ella's stead, as she has lost her voice. The 3 of them walked along the ramp of the tree. Cregan, next to her, whispered in her ear, "I need to be honest with you. This will not be pleasant, but trust me, nothing will happen to you." Ella looked for Aaron, who only gave her a small nod and a faint smile. The hidden pool was not big, but the water seemed to reach deeper than it appeared. Ella couldn't see the bottom of the crystal clear water. "Ella, you need to take off any kind of metal. Do you have a knife on you or any jewelry?" Cregan asked as they both stood in front of the pool. "No, wait, yes, the necklace." She took the amulet off and gave it to Cregan, who looked at it with skepticism. "I take that." "Why does she have your pendant?" "She liked it," Aaron said and winked at Ella. Cregan turned Ella around to face him. "You have to dive in the water now, Ella, and you need to stay below the surface for a while. Let me go in with you." Panic crept in. Ella wasn't an adept swimmer and even worse at holding her breath underwater. "Love, you also need to take off your dress," Aaron shouted from the branch he meanwhile sat on. He tried to lighten the mood, but Ella wasn't in the mood for jests right now. Cregan wasn't either and indicated him to be quiet. He offered her his arm to guide her safely into the pool. Her fingers clawed into Cregan's arms. Not that she trusted him, but it was the only thing that gave her hold, and she needed all the support she could get. Cregan and Ella were both standing in the pool. The water reached up to her shoulders, but Cregan stood out higher as he was almost 2 heads taller than her. She tried to see the bottom of the pool, but it remained hidden from her sight. Ella didn't understand on what they were standing on. "It's magic," Cregan whispered when he caught her surprised face and gave her a crooked smile. "So I just dive in then, I guess," Ella said, hoping to get over with it soon. The expression on his face changed, turning to concerned and sorrowful. "Not exactly. I'm really sorry about this." Cregan grabbed her hat and pushed it under the surface. His grip was relentless, and Ella swallowed a lot of water while he held her down. She tried to fight him, tried to get back to the surface. Ella couldn't believe they would go through so much trouble just to drown her in this bloody tree pool. She grabbed his shirt, trying to pull herself up, but it was all for naught. Cregan kept pushing her down. She was unable to find a grip while floating in the water. After a while, she lost orientation. Ella couldn't differentiate up from down. She resisted the urge to take a breath as long as possible, but she felt how her body slowly gave up. With a last effort, Ella tried to push Cregan away, but she had no strength left. She let go. Ella opened her mouth to take her last breath. Her lungs were on fire. Images of her past were flashing by. She saw herself as a child playing in the tall grass. Ella saw a sunflower field and herself chasing butterflies and twirling in a yellow dress. She watched herself standing under a tree with her first boyfriend, having her first kiss. She saw her cousin Misha walking in front of her, smiling. Ella recognized herself sitting at the window, watching the lightning while writing in a journal. Images of a feast in her village turned up. She was dancing around a tree decorated with ribbons. Ella drinking tea with Misha in her home and playing with a child. She spotted herself sleeping next to her boyfriend in the hay. She saw an endless staircase, a sky with clouds of liquid silver, a sensation of falling down, deeper and deeper into the abyss. Ella felt the last breath of 1,000 souls. After the darkness, she caught a glimpse of herself, how she blowed away the seeds of a dandelion, wishing for her father to come back. Father holding her in his arms as a babe. Father showing her the plants in the garden. Father with a worried face and comforting her after breaking up with her boyfriend. Father telling her how beautiful she looked and how proud he was to raise such a kind and sweet daughter. Father telling her stories while gesticulating wildly with his arms. Father hugging her as he closed the door from the cottage behind him for the last time. Dad, Daddy, come back, please. Ella didn't notice being pulled up again, but she sensed a pair of lips on hers, followed by a thrust on her chest, and as she coughed out the water, she recognized Aaron above her. Every breath she took felt like hot coals in her lungs. You're safe now, come on, get it out, Aaron told her while taking her into his arms and patting her back. It's all right now, the worst is behind you. You did great, love. She wanted to say something, but she still tried to catch her breath and couldn't stop coughing. Ella turned away as she started to feel sick. Cregan walked up at her side with an astounded expression on his face. She tried to yell at him, but all that came out was vomit and bile. It took her a while until her breath turned to a more normal rhythm again, and until she could stop heaving. Dad! The images of her father were still in her mind, and she started sobbing. Tears were streaming down her face. Dad, please bring him back, please. I want my dad. I want to go home. She cried while Aaron hugged her closer. Is that what you saw? Your dad? Cregan asked, still having that baffled expression on his face. I want him back. I want to go home. Let me go now. Please, I beg you. Cregan returned to the edge of the pool. Ella couldn't stop crying, so overwhelmed by sadness. It's been years since she was this wretched about it. It was as if her father had just passed away. Snot was running out her nose, and she used Aaron's shirt to wipe it away. She couldn't care less. Ella realized that both of them were acting all benign, while it has been themselves who tried to drown her. Bloody bastards! I can't believe you! You said it would be safe! She yelled at them, still sobbing and being submerged in sadness. It was wrong of her to trust them. But why all the effort, and why save her again?
But why? Why? Why is that happening? Why did they do that? Why? Why is Cregan and Aaron doing this? Why are they doing this? There you have it. Ooh, I'm a bit nervous about the whole thing because, full disclosure, I never listen to an audiobook, so I have no idea what I'm doing. And my brother keeps telling me, yeah, you have to do that. You read audiobooks really before you start doing that. Listen to more audiobooks before I actually make my own audiobook. And I really have to because I have no idea what I'm doing. But I hope you enjoyed this a little bit. But tell me what's wrong with it. You know, I'm gonna cry, but yeah, it's fine. No, yeah, yeah. This is one of those chapters that really got to me, and I'm currently writing right now. Well, yesterday I finished that chapter as well. You know, there were more chapters already where I was just sitting there and I was really depressed afterwards. And yesterday, you know, I wrote like 4,000 words yesterday, which is, you know, most of the time I write like between 1,500 and 2,500. Sometimes I get 3,000, but I rarely get 4,000. And I was really, you know, pumped afterwards. And when I came down a little bit, I realized what I just had written, and it really got to me. And chapter 7, what you just heard, it's just a tiny little part of it. Okay, there's a whole thing happening before and a whole thing happening afterwards. Yeah, but I just give you a little teaser, right? And yeah, but the whole writing process, it's so. Not ever did a tarot reading to me what the writing thing does to me, you know. I mean, I write fantasy, right? Um, but there is so much truth in it, and it's a whole thing of shadow work put in there, and yeah, it's just really. It amazes me how it is. And I said already in the last video, you know, with the tarot readings that I'm not doing anymore for others at the moment. People can't see you, Ivy. You have to get a little bit closer. That Ivy still exists. She's well. It's just too hot, but that's fine. yeah, so you're very how vulnerable it makes you, and how open you have to be, and it really gets to you on a deep level. And yeah, it sounds bad when you say it, you know, but for the most part, I'm I'm very I I am sad a lot, you know, for the stuff I write. Because of the stuff I write and because it brings up so much, but it's how should I say that? It's such a healthy sadness. It makes you think a lot. You know, it's melancholic. Oh, like my, you know, what my husband and I said about the book. If you have to describe it in just a few words, he said bittersweet is what he would use, at least for the first book. The second book right now that I'm writing is darker, more violence. You know, it's makes me also sad. I know when I did the outline for the second book, already with only doing the outline, I was in tears. I was in tears. I finished up one evening, and I was just the entire time. It's like you cannot happen. And it's not even. I didn't even cry. What you think now? Oh, who is dying? You know, people always assume that, but it's not about that. It's just sometimes that one sentence in there, and probably, you know, it doesn't touch anybody else. Then or it doesn't touch others how it touches me, you know, but it had a massive effect on me for different scenes, right? Yeah, writing is a very curious process. Uh, so starting with, you know, all the technicalities that I happily ignore, that I happily ignore most of the time. I had beta readers now. It's really a curious process. So, for example, when I had my first beta reader who read it, and then waiting for the feedback, which just kills you. Luckily, I know the beta reader personally, so we met up, we had a nice barbecue together and stuff, you know. Um, and the feedback was very good, except for a few small details, which is just, you know, was more about his personal preference than now saying anything against it. Except for the ending, which I agree, it's my ending is most people are going to hate it because it's much more of an open ending, and I'm not, you know, I love those endings. I love that, you know, and there is going to be a book two, so it's fine, you know. I was always a fan of open endings, you know, and a bit unsatisfied, you know. I like that, but not everybody. So there was that, but for the rest, I got really good feedback on the whole thing. Obviously, you know, there's still a few writing spelling. I don't know if it's actually spelling mistakes. A few commas are missing. Yeah, so I definitely still have to edit again and again and again. I'm not the biggest fan of the editing process, but the rest, you know, the outlining, coming up with the story, and then the writing itself, which makes me sad most of the time. So weird how it's like, yeah, it's hello darkness, my old friend. It's really that. You're kind of comfortable in that sadness and melancholy. Really, it's more what it is. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing now, and that's why I'm not that much on YouTube. But I did 2 videos now. I feel like, oh wow, how much more do you expect? And I'm talking to myself here. So thanks again. Let me know what you think. I, like always, I wish you a great day. You thought I would say wonderful. Have a great day. Much love and many blessings, and bye-bye.